Boy, look at all the people in here today. Oh, y'all ready to get real? Y'all ready to get real? We're about to get real. Thank you for that kind introduction, Amber. Thanks to you and Jeff and Renee and Dennis and Mark and the leadership of Nerium, not just for what you do every day, but for your passion for people. That's why this is such a dynamic partnership. It was such an easy partnership to come together on because we share a lot of the same values. Congratulations, by the way, on all the wonderful achievements that John just talked about. Congratulations for winning our first Community Impact Award. Couldn't have thought of a better person. Give yourselves a round of applause. Think about this. You know, I first met most of you in September of last year, right in this very same building. Maybe half of this place was filled. And since that time, you brought in over $300,000 and over 100 bigs that are making a difference in communities around this country. Over 100 more kids that are going to be better prepared to pursue the American dream. I mean, that's really the business that we're in. We're trying to help create a new generation of taxpayers and not tax takers, to take kids that are facing adversity and allow them the same opportunities that every one of you have in here. I mean, I loved listening to that video. It was a wonderful thing. And hopefully there'll be more of you on it next time as we continue to make a difference together. I love the word legacy that Amber made. Legacy. Think for a moment, what will your life have stood for at the end of the day when it's all done? Jill, Chris, and some of y'all that I talked to last night. And really the whole idea of the ripple is the essence of living a significant life. And I talk a lot about success versus significance. Some of you have heard me. And, you know, in our society, unfortunately, success has been measured by stuff. What we drive, where we live, what kind of clothes we wear. Those things can be taken from you at any moment, right? But if you're significant, that means you're making an impact in the lives of others. Beyond just your own, you're making alive somebody that you might not even know. You're making a difference. And to me, that's what I want to have stood for with my life. I mean, how many of you have seen a funeral procession, you know, with the police and the hearse and all the cars and the lights on and that kind of thing? How many of you have seen in that procession a tractor trailer and flatbed full of all the stuff that person accumulated throughout their lives? Not many, I would suspect. You know, you heard some great stories about the impact of this program. Let me tell you, this program is not just impacting adults and kids across this world that are out doing what you do, but our organization lost some significant federal funding a couple of years ago for mentoring children of prisoners. And when word got behind bars to some of those men that we had gone out to and talked about and recruited some of their kids to find mentors for them so that they wouldn't follow them to prison themselves. And some studies have indicated that those children face a 7 in 10 likelihood without some intervention. They responded by raising $1 each. That's a lot of money for somebody behind bars. They sent a $19 check to my agency. I used to run the agency in Nashville, Tennessee. And all right, we got some Nashville people in the house. But look, that moved me, that moved us. If these men who don't have a prospect left in life other than to maybe try to help their own kids or somebody else's kids so that they don't join their families behind bars, and we've seen 4 generations of the same family behind bars in this same penitentiary that sent this money all meeting for the first time. Can you imagine that? Now, if they can invest in this movement, what can the rest of us do? And you know, one of the things that impressed me, I mean, and think about that, let that sink in. One of the things that impressed me right off the bat when we talked about this partnership, and we were talking with Jeff and Dennis and everybody, and they were saying, look, Lowell, who's your number one corporate partner? How much money do they give each year? How many volunteers do they generate each year? We want to be number one. We're going to beat all of those. And I believed him. Now, y'all believe Jeff, don't you? Hey, that's right. So what can you do to break barriers and achieve dreams? To achieve those goals of becoming the number one corporate partner. And, you know, I challenge a lot of groups about two different camps. On the one hand, you have those that like to sit back and watch history unfold, and those that want to be a part of history. Now, you all have already demonstrated a willingness and inclination toward wanting to be in that latter group, just based on what I just heard from John today. I mean, the firsts that you've already achieved. Now let's talk about, though, how can we broaden that? How can we make history in the world sense? And this partnership, this dynamic partnership between our two organizations has the capacity to do exactly that. Now, I've heard there are 10,000 people in here today. 10,000! Lord have mercy. Just think about if everybody in this room gave $5 each when you go out there to that wheel or whenever, if you go to your back offices, because you know you can directly contribute a percentage of your commissions to Big Brothers Big Sisters. Let's think about if all of you decided, hey man, I was so inspired about those 19 men behind bars, I'm gonna match that $19 that those men that will never, in many cases, never see the light of day did. Let's think about, what did I hear they get 2 bottles if you give $100? Now let's put $100 each in perspective in this room. That's $1 million. That would support 1,000 matches. How many bigs do I have in the room here now? Just raise your hand and I'll make sure that everybody can see around you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. If you have any doubts about the return on investment, as you're thinking about what level you want to be at here, you ask those people who just raised their hands. You seek out my man Craig, who was there on the video, and they'll tell you. Think about what John would have to write if this happened. Let's think for a moment. When you come, you guys, I'm sure, have been to a number of these before. What are you going to go home and tell others? Oh, yeah, man, it was a great conference as usual, man. Jeff did his dynamic thing. There were wonderful parties that we went to and learned about new products and, you know, what we usually do. What if you were able to go home and somebody asked you that same question and you said, you know what, on a single day, we raised $1 million and 1,000 people volunteered to change lives. I guarantee you that would be on every television station around this country. Think about how that would lift the Nerium brand, what a differentiator that would make. If somebody says, well, what makes Nerium different than anybody else? If you're walking the talk, I guarantee you it's going to get there. Kate Snow is on our national board. I guarantee you she'd do a story about that. And we'd be out there and we'd be talking about you, and then you would be the #1 corporate partner for Big Brothers Big Sisters, and it hadn't even been a year. So I'm going to challenge you to think big, to talk about what's making you different, to go out and make that difference. Everybody can contribute something in this room. Let's make history. Don't just sit back on the sidelines. Let's make history. Go back and tell those people. And remember now how many people, and when you go in and you're trying to bring more people in the Nerium brand to the higher level, think about what that would do for you, that you were actually there. And if somebody says, wow, you know what, I saw on NBC News about what Nerium, aren't you involved with that company? Yeah, and I was there. I was there. Thank y'all so much for what you do, for who you are, and for responding to the challenge. You want to talk about get real? You want to talk about going beyond the limits? Today's the day. Thank you.